Welcome back to a brand new live stream on the channel. Hope you guys are having a good day. Hold on. Why is my screen on this? Am I tripping? Stop screen share. There we go. That's better now. Yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been another week. Not much been happening in the markets. Market's been a bit steady. We've just been ranging in this exact same region since we went up and put in a new all-time high at the 123K region. And since then, there's been a lot of developments, especially today. We'll go over them in a few seconds. But Haynes, good to see you, my friend. Kim, good to see you as well. Jamie, good to see you. Jobin, good to see you. WhatsApp, good to see you as well. T-Move, Martins, good to see you. Soulflex, good to see everyone in the chat, the regulars. Drop a like on your way in. Only costs nothing. Takes a few seconds out of your time. I would appreciate it. Lows, Zeus, D-Clan, Sean, good to see you as well. Benny, good to see you as well, my friend. Delario, very good to see you, buddy. How you been? Let's go over some of the questions quickly, and then we'll go over some of the market updates and what's been happening in the market. So, Cart just pulled almost a 10x. I don't think it pulled a 10x. It pulled about a 3x maybe. But what do I think about it? What do I think about the tech comeback? This is why I don't really sell tokens that are, despite how bad tech has performed, I did not sell my tokens just because, as long as the team's active and developing, there's going to be a time where it will have a nice pump. So the people that held, they obviously, they probably made a lot more money than they would have selling at 30, 40, 50 cents. It's almost at $2. That's good. If he breaks $4, $5, I'll be back in profits. And that's what I'm personally going to wait for. I'm not going to sell now. I just don't see the point, especially when the market's heating up. Once the momentum's there and they do a little bit of marketing and pay a few influencers, it's just going to keep pumping higher. So tell me 6 memes. I'll go over some coins in a bit, my friend. At the moment, I'm not really. I'll go over the macro stuff first. Good evening. Let's get richer and smarter tonight. G, drop some updates. Yeah, so I am helping them with the marketing. I'm not an official marketing member or something, but I am helping the team. So I'm speaking with the CEO and the marketing lead. And so far, what's happened is I told them to change the tokenomics on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So they're going to send a fresh wave of emails to them, get that done. I do have another meeting or another call with a team member, with a marketing lead on Tuesday, I think it is, or Wednesday. So that's going to be good. I told them to reach out to 10 influencers. So they've DM'd or emailed 10 influencers. So the likes of Alex Becker, House of Crypto, Kyle Chase, and a bunch of other ones. And they're willing to pay as well. That's what they said. So that they're willing to pay these guys because their approach to marketing has been terrible so far, and the team has admitted it. That the way they market is not ideal for Web3, and they realize that. So that's always good as long as the team understands that the marketing efforts have been terrible and it's not catered to Web3. That's why they're willing to change, and that's probably why they're willing to listen to me on their marketing. So just going over the lot of stuff, it is going to take maybe another couple of weeks for maybe one of the KOLs to maybe reply. But like I said, they're willing to pay the money to these KOLs. They don't really care because if the token pumps 20, 30, 40x, they're just going to make the money back anyway. So it makes no difference. Plus, they're generating plenty of revenue anyway. So like I said, they're willing to pay these influencers. If 2 to 3 of those out of the 10 reply, I think that will do a lot of, very, very well for the price action of Alt as well. But yeah, they in terms of the updates, they're about to launch their launch pad for the data hub. So basically, and I'll be using this as well. So simple stuff like social media tasks for community growth. If I pay some of you guys to maybe show my YouTube channel or whatever, which I probably will be doing, a lot of people will probably utilize this launchpad, in my opinion, because if I put a campaign out saying the person that likes my most videos or shares the most or whatever gets 100 USDT, I guarantee you there's going to be fucking tens of hundreds of people that will do it. So this is what they're working on at the moment. They're going to get this launchpad out probably next week. So when the week starts, the launchpad will be out. You guys can launch your own data campaigns, and you actually get paid a decent amount on data. People don't realize this. For every data set you do, you can earn anywhere between 2 to 3 grand. So, you can actually start your own business because these guys already have over 300K users. If you work with a few companies like Kaggle or some of these other ones, and you have specific data sets that you want to, get people to contribute, you can easily earn 2 to 3 grand with some of these big data collection websites. So that's what they're working on at the moment. After this is going to be more chain expansion. So they're going to go on Solana and a few other things. But the problem with all development and project and everything else is perfect. They just lack the marketing, which obviously is what I'm helping them with now. They take a different approach, like a Web 2 approach, which obviously does not work in Web 3 because they're not high cap. For a project like Alt to be at the stage where they want it to be, they need to do spend, I don't know, 400-500 grand on marketing, and then later down the line when they're established and everyone knows about them, the regular updates they do is enough to keep the project pumping. But they need to get to that stage first, and that's basically what I try to explain to the team. So the team understands now. They are going to be paying a lot more influencers now, which is going to be good. A lot of these, most crypto, the utility don't really, no one gives a shit about utility, let's be honest. Marketing is the best utility, in my opinion. It doesn't matter how good your project is, if you can't market it, no one's really going to give a shit. But on bullish news today, Trump has made a deal with EU now, which is very, very good. So agreement on to open up trade on 0% tariffs, which is very good. EU agreeing to purchase 750 billion worth of US energy, which is obviously very, very good. A reduction in automobile tariffs to 15%. So this is a very, very good deal. On top of this, where's the China deal? Hold on, I gotta find the China deal. So yeah, so US and China agreed to extend tariffs pause for additional 90 days, which is very, very good. Now for the next 3 months, there might be a lot of tariff news here and there, but they're not going to affect the markets because the major ones are the ones with the biggest economies, which is China and EU. So now that they made a deal with EU and they've extended the Chinese one for 90 days, it's going to be, the markets are going to be more risk on, especially with the debt ceiling being increased. So this is very, very good. We'll go over some of the macro stuff in a second. So, we'll just go over it now, actually. This is very, very important. It might be boring, but it's very important for your altcoins. Most of you that watch my channel are altcoin holders. And when the TGA gets refilled, it sucks out a lot of liquidity at the market. So you have to, I'll go over it very, very briefly. What Besson wants to do is, instead of, normally when the general account at the Fed, the government general account gets lowered or is at the bare minimum, they have to refill it. But every time they refill it, what happens is it sucks liquidity from the financial system. So what they normally used to do was, it used to, when they used to refill it, they used to do it aggressively, very fast, and obviously that sucks liquidity at the markets and everything tanks. But what Besson is doing now, he's doing it slowly and gradually, and that is mainly because is instead of doing a sprint, he's doing a marathon now, which gives us as altcoin holders and risk assets a little bit more time to actually, for us to actually pump, which I think is very, very bullish. This is a very good read. So Besson's slow walk strategy to form a stealth yield curve control without calling it by that. By delaying the full TGE refill, he's trying to avoid trigger another round of bond market indigestion, which could happen. The bond markets are not looking good right now. The 30 years is almost at 5%, if not at 5%, which is historically at bearish levels. So, especially at the long end, the buy time to demand stabilized pension, sovereign, and money markets keeps the Fed from being forced into further liquidity support. Why? Because they want to de-relegate the banks. So they want to bring liquidity from the banking sector, where they want, when you de-relegate the banks start, borrowing and lending a lot more aggressively without the need to, to look for specific, without basically getting into trouble. The easiest way to put it. That's what they want to do. They want to inject and do stealth QE through that way. That's how they're going to inject liquidity in the markets, because the overall goal is to increase GDP to match the debt. So they want to get GDP higher than the debt, which is, by literally printing new assets. So they want to bring new money in the system, and that's how when they de-relegate the banks, there's going to be a fresh wave of lending happening, and obviously you're going to see economic expansion. and that's when you're going to see altcoins, risk assets start to perform, money markets, which is for safe haven. But we're not there at the moment. It'll probably take a few more weeks. I reckon maybe another month. And we also got FOMC coming up. Powell's tone of voice is going to be a massive indicator of whether people are willing to get risk on, or they just might wait another month, maybe into August, because they are going to likely to cut rates in September, but markets will likely wait to August to front run it. So August, you might get a little dump in August, but ultimately August into September is going to be a little bit more bullish. So it's going to be a very similar playbook to what we've seen in 2024. Maybe this time, instead of the markets pumping for only 1 month, we might get an extra month, maybe even 3 months if we're lucky, of continuous pump. So that's what we have to look forward to. Obviously, we got to move 1 week at a time. If anything starts to crack or something looking good, you have to start taking profits aggressively. And that's the mistake that a lot of us made in December, is that everything was pumping, but we didn't see the signs of inflation start to creep back up, or people just ignored it. And then Powell came out and said, instead of cutting 2-3 times next year, we're only going to cut once or twice. And then because of that, the market tanked. And then Trump came out and started his bullshit. The market, just got destroyed after that. So, but this is very, very good. This is, I think it's very smart from Besant to delay, the crash. The crash will come. There's no doubt. The slow refill doesn't change the destination. Debt will cross 37 trillion anyways. Will it change the pace and perception? Is attempt to manage sequencing system where every treasury issuance affects rates, reserves, and portfolios, financial conditions in real time. So this is ultimately very, very good for the markets. You also got what else is there? What other news was there? I think that's it actually in terms of the macros. Get rid of that shit. I think that is it for the macro side. We do have, like I said, we have FOMC coming up on the 30th, so in 3 days on Wednesday. Keep your eyes out for that, because that is gonna, I think the market won't do anything. We won't decide to go anywhere until that decision is made. I think we'll probably range between here. Maybe we could come back down here, but the CME gap has been filled now. It was between the 113 to the 115K region. The CME gap has been filled when we ripped off the previous support. This is bullish. We came up, came and retested this breakout point, which was the long-term trend that we had to break in order to put in a new all-time high. It came and retested and now is making its way up. Once we break past this structure and we get back above this, so maybe something like this, come back down, retest this, and then very likely you're going to see a massive short squeeze, because once we get above the 125, I think it is, there's like billions of dollars of liquidation happening for shorts. So those guys are going to be forced to buy in their position. Everything's going to fly back up. And this is the area, in my opinion, that everyone should look to start to DCA out. Bitcoin will come up here, chop, chop, chop. Even if it goes higher, who gives a shit? The likely chance is, you can't see the future. You won't be able to. You can obviously, you'll know in hindsight afterwards. But the reality is, in this area is the best time to start DCing out. And I think if you go past this, you're just getting greedy. You got to keep in mind, guys, Bitcoin went from 15K, and if it goes to 150K region, that's a 10x on Bitcoin. That is ridiculous amounts of gains. So you can't get too greedy. Everyone always expects Bitcoin to go to, a lot higher than what it should. It's already, if it hits 150, that's 10x. That's unheard of, for such a high cap asset. Smash the likes, indeed. Hit the likes, guys. I would appreciate that loads. Should I start dropping more videos as well? I probably will start doing a bit more tier list as well. It's okay if you don't. Mahe, good to see you, bro. Thoughts on LogX network? Yes, I'm still holding LogX. I did have this over here, so you guys can see now. In terms of perp volume for DEXs, Hyperliquid is number 1, Jupiter is 4, Apex is 3, but LogX is starting to creep up as the number 7 DEX in the crypto space, which is quite impressive, because you look at the market cap of LogX, it's like 1 to 2 million. So, if you look at the market cap value compared to the actual volume that's going through the DEX, I think it is quite impressive. So I do hold a position in this. Not a small, it's always going to be a small position. The degens are chucking a few grand. I forget about them till we get back into extreme greed, and then they will always pump. Most people do not survive this stage over here where, came out, had a nice little pump, and obviously crashed with everything else. But the degens pump last. People need to understand money flow. Money flow works in BTC first, then Ethereum starts to outperform BTC, and then people take profits on Ethereum, put it into the high caps, and then once they take profits on the high caps, they start to get a bit more degen, and the money flows down the list. That's how money flow always works in crypto. That's how it worked last year as well. I don't know why people are so confused. Last year Ethereum pumped on the ETF rumors, and then once the ETF went live, it dumped. High caps, XRP, XLM, Ondo, Injective, all of these ones started to pump aggressively as well. And then later, the money started to flow into the low caps. That's when this was pumping, Sniff, Sensay, and all these other low caps, were pumping aggressively. That's how it works. It doesn't work in the sense where just because Ethereum's putting in, aggressive pumps, people got to understand there's Ethereum dominance, there's Bitcoin dominance. When Ethereum is pumping, money is starting to flow into Ethereum, and dominance, Ethereum dominance starts to go up. You guys can see now, this is the Ethereum dominance chart. It means people don't understand this either. High caps can get sold into Ethereum. That's how Ethereum dominance goes up. It's not only BTC being sold for Ethereum. There's also low caps, mid caps, high caps will also get sold into Ethereum because Ethereum's performing well. You got to keep in mind, in crypto, people go, retail specifically go when the markets are pumping because they love to FOMO in. If Ethereum's pumping and outperforming some of the high caps, then people are going to sell their high caps and go into Ethereum. That's a thing. So, you guys can see Ethereum doing very well. Broke out this bearish structure. I call it a bull flag. I called this bull flag early. People could have went long, bottom of the range, bull flag, and we went higher. So now the next level, I think the major resistance level for Ethereum is going to be the 4K region. Is try to break this 4K region once, twice, 3 times. Here it almost did. This is going to be a massive barrier for Ethereum. It needs to break 4K, come back, maybe it goes to like 4.2, comes back, retests this resistance line, the previous resistance, and then we can go up a lot higher. Because if you follow global supply or global money supply, Ethereum should be priced at around 8 grand. That's where it should be, between 7 to 8 grand. So it shows how undervalued Ethereum is currently, which is always a good sign, because the more money flows into Ethereum, the more money is going to eventually flow into the high caps, and there's going to be even more money flowing into the low caps. The low caps only needs 10, 20 million, which is nothing in crypto, for it to do a 10 to 20x, for some of these coins specifically. If Munity, for example, which is still updating, still working, if Munity from this point on goes to $10 million in market cap, that's 100x on your money. For me, the risk to reward is worth, because there's a world where gaming comes back, and if gaming comes back, you might see some of these projects fly, because it is on Aerodome. So what these guys are planning to do now, because their game is coming out very soon, they're looking to launch their game. They're preparing to increase DEX liquidity to support in-game utility and long-term growth, which is very good, very, very good. They're on Aerodome and they're on Uniswap, which is, in my opinion, and they are going to get more listing. You guys can see down here, it does say that they are, stay tuned, and yes, we are preparing for new DEX listing and on the new mainnet to further expand our reach. So they are going to get new listings as well. And I think one of the listings they already secured is BitGet. So they are going to get BitGet. That's always, I think BitGet is a good tier 3 to tier 2 exchange. You could class it as tier 2, but I would say tier 3. So, I think risk to reward for Munity being at like 100K in market cap, chuck in a few $100, whatever. For me, I chucked in 2 grand and I forgot about it. In November, December, it pumped, decent amount. For a gaming coin, it pumped like 4 to 5x. I think it pumped 5, 6x, some shit. It went to like 3 cents. I don't know why it says 2 cents on here, but it pumped to about 3 cents, which is pretty good because gaming was dead back then as well. So you always pump in the markets, but like I said, it's high risk, high reward. If you don't think gaming is going to come back, don't buy it. It's that simple. If you don't think gaming is going to come back and you don't believe in gaming, don't buy it. It's all about narratives. We all know DEX narrative is always going to pump. PancakeSwap, Uniswap always pumps, and then all the other DEXs pump along with it. So it all depends on your risk tolerance, in my opinion. I just chuck in whatever I can afford to lose, and I just leave it there at some point, and it'll pump. BB King, good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Nice. You grabbed a nice trade bag of ATR. I think that's very, very smart. One of the fastest moving RWA coins in the space is ATR. Art Trade will always pump, and it will always come back down. Is a very, very good coin to trade. I stacked this up. So if you stack down here and you sell over here after 2 to 3x, I have a long-term bag and I always have a trade bag. So I keep my long-term bag. When it comes down here, I add a bit more. And then when it goes up here, I sell my trade bag, I double my money. And then when it comes down here, I buy again, but I get to buy double the amount. And then next time when it pumps 2 to 3x, like it has in the previous, look at the chart for the last year, came down here, pump 3x, came back down the exact same region, pump 2x, is going to come back down. And if the next pump is more explosive because dominance has broke 60% level, it'll probably pump 4 to 5x, because on the previous pump, initially when I got in here, it pumped like 7x, damn near 7x. So it will always pump, and it is one of the fastest movers assets in the RWA space. Despite if RWA is a narrative or not, ATR will always pump because it has good token utility. That's why token utility is important. ESX is also doing very, very well. It is a beast in an RWA project. I do agree with you, my friend. ESX has massive announcements. It's up 50% damn near the last couple of days. If you bought in from the lows, it's up 24%. But this is, if it goes to 50%, it's a 2x. So technically it's 50% pump. If you go on Statex announcements, this is basically what they have coming. So the Block Explorer for the testnet is coming out soon. So you guys gonna get to see the TVL, how many people are using the testnet. In the next few weeks, we will spotlight the first candidate for the launchpad in an interactive way. So there's going to be the first project being launched on the launchpad, which is good because every single project that launches on the launchpad will have an Statex pair as well, which means you're going to see a massive TVL for this project. The TVL could go to hundreds of millions at some point for this project, because the more tokens you get, like I said, every token that launches will need a Statex pair. So they would have to use or buy Statex anyways as gas fees or whatever. So, and keep in mind, whatever money they generate from the launchpad and the fees or whatever, 30 to 40% of that gets used to buy back the token, which is, very, very good token utility. So they've thought this very, very thoroughly. After Monday, Graham will focus on 100% NFT rewards. Okay, secondary listings. So we have closed some secondary listings. Keep in mind, is listings, is not listing, is listing. So it's multiple sexes, which will be executed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're finalizing the date with the exchanges, and we will ramp up a massive marketing campaign around this. These guys are very, very top level marketers. I've always said, and I've asked Bart, the CEO, if you guys can help with some marketing, and they're more than willing to help some of the projects I'm associated with as well. These guys are top level marketers. Around the same time, we have the launchpad info, building projects, property dates would have been announced. Very, very good. They're going to get new list properties as well. Some general things like coin market cap supply will be verified as time as well. So they're going to change a few things on their website, tweak little things here and there, which obviously the little things do make a massive difference, in my opinion. So just little tweaks, change of the website, updating new partnerships, updating more info on the website makes a big difference, in my opinion. So that's very, very bullish. And I think, Statex being at the market cap it is, which is around 8 to 9 million, I think it will do phenomenal, man, honestly. It had a very aggressive pump from here to here, like 4 to 5x, had a decent correction after an aggressive pump. This is, if you look at most projects that launch, they don't look like this. This is a very successful launch. Most launches come out, dump, but they continue to dump. They don't, they have the initial pump, but they just go and put in new low, new low, new low. But this is holding up very well. It's going to go higher, in my opinion. And eventually, some projects, if you're lucky, if you got the private sale like my private group did, if this goes to like 30, 40 cents, they'll be making, hundreds of X's. It's going to be ridiculous. But even if you buy off launch, if this goes to 50, 30, 40 cents, you're going to make some stupid money on this. And I think you can, because they are going to get a tier 1 listing. So some of the secondary listings, I can't say the name, but it is going to be a tier 1 listing that everyone has heard of. And that will be announced in 2 to 3 weeks' time. Can you please, for ATR, tell us your opinion, please? I'm bullish on ATR, my friend. Very bullish. It's one of the fastest moving. Look, every coin that moves fast will also come down fast. People have to understand this. If it goes up fast, it will come down fast. Look how, it's just a good coin to trade, in my opinion. A very good coin to trade. I wonder if excellent marketing really makes sense in the current. At the moment, it's not worth. At the moment, it's not worth. And the reason is you want to do your marketing when your narrative is there. Yes, in the short term, if the coin pumps 20 to 30% is always good for your portfolio. But the reality is most people are not even going to sell if it pumps 20 to 30% because they're here for the long term. They want to get the 10x's, the 15x's, the 20x's. A 20, 30% pump does keep people happy. But you have to keep in mind, even if they don't market aggressively now, even just getting a massive KOL to put it on everyone's radar for all is still a good thing, because all it takes is, let's say we get House of Crypto. House of Crypto has already spoke about the project, and if they pay him enough, he's going to talk about it regardless. So you get him on board. What happens is all the people that follow House of Crypto, there's other influencers. They have a look at all, they put it on their radar. They look at it and they might like it. You don't even have to pay all the influencers. If you get one or two that are big names, all the little KOLs, all the other ones start to look into it, and it puts it on their radar, and they might buy it because they look at how good the project is. That's all it takes. You just need one or two big KOLs to push you, and then everyone kind of jumps on board. So, is definitely important in my opinion. Even if they don't market now, they can always just pay other influencers down the line. It's not like they're short on money. The data hub is forecasted to earn 1 to 2 million a year, which is plenty of money. Tectum to the moon. How is Tectum doing? Bro, Tectum pumped like fucking 4-5x out of nowhere. I was so surprised why Tectum was pumping. But it's up a decent amount. It's up 265%, which is, if you bought the lows, congratulations to you. But on the year, it's still down 80%. So fucked. Andy, good to see you, buddy. Very good to see you. That's why I don't like selling coins that are just already gone to shits. Does not make sense. What's my thought on the DeFi narrative? Do we see DeFi narrative later in the alt season? I'm not a fan of DeFi coins. I mean, look, let's look at the staking coins. Let's look at Ethereum staking, for example, right? Look at Lido. This is an Ethereum staking coin. What has it done? It hasn't done shit. It's been in the same range for a long time. No one's interested. The institutions are gonna stake regardless, but they will stake through the BlackRocks, and they're not going to use Lido to stake. They don't trust these platforms. They're going to use the ETF stakings to stake with the big institutions. So the likes of stuff like restaking and some of these other stuff, I don't really see you doing that well. I don't really see layer 2s doing that well either. Some layer 2s, not all of them. I do think there will be a little decent pump in layer 2s, just because as Ethereum pumps, the ecosystem pumps, and the layer 2s will have a pump. That's why I hold Lightlink as the low cap version of a layer 2 that's still developing, still doing a lot of good stuff. But liquid staking DeFi, I'm not really a fan of. I don't really think it's a narrative to focus on, in my opinion. I think RWA will probably be the biggest narrative this year, just because if you look at most of the adoption that's happening, it is happening in RWA right now. All the big institutions, all these countries are starting to tokenize. So I think, last year we had AI agents. I don't really think we're going to have a massive run like we did with AI agents this year with AI. I think Deepin could make a comeback, just because NVIDIA, the NVIDIA chips are putting in new. NVIDIA is right now the biggest company in the world. So, Deepin could make a comeback, which will be very bullish for all the Deepin coins, like all AI tech and all these other ones. I think Deepin has a good chance. I think RWA probably has the biggest chance. So that's where I'm stacking the most, is RWA. I am still stacking my AI coins. Stuff that has Web 2 and Web 3 utility will do well in the long term, in my opinion. I sold Munity, BlockX, Munity Real, Alt9, and Max Tectum. It's not a bad move in hindsight, but if you look at it now, I think that's a stupid move. If I was asked you, a couple of months ago, I think that was one of the dumbest moves ever. But it played out nicely. But is Tectum gonna continue to pump? after 265%. I don't really think so. I think it will either consolidate here for a bit and then maybe push up higher, or it might come down, maybe 50% of this pump over here, maybe at the $1 region, maybe 120, and then have another pump up. But you must have had a lot of what's it called? A lot of conviction to even do something like that, bro. It's crazy. Speaking of Nai, Nai had a few issues because they kept delaying the product, but now the Nexus is live now. The light paper is out as well, which is very, very bullish because what you can actually do with this is ridiculous. Nexus is really good. It's like an upgraded version of ChatGPT pretty much, but with way more utility. And you're going to see I think you're going to see a lot of Web 2 and Web 3 projects actually utilize this. And the CEO did say on the AMA, the recent AMA, that as soon as Nexus is out, within 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to release a massive partnership that they're going to get for Nexus, which in my opinion is bullish. And then another thing they've recently added is, so on the Dow Treasury, 30%, I think it's 25% of the revenue generated for Nexus will be used to buy back the token. So there's going to be some more token utility. The buybacks, you got to keep in mind, NAI is a low cap. It's not a high cap. It's a low cap. And, 20, let's say they generate 2 to 300K, even 20% of that will push the token price up significantly just because it is so low on liquidity. It's not high liquidity coin, meaning even 20, 30, 40K will pump this 40, 50, 2x. That's how easy it is to move this token. So, I think now that Nexus is live, I think investors are a little bit more confident now. And, this project is going to be used a lot in Web 2, in my opinion, and in Web 3, sorry. Because you got to keep in mind, these guys have over 70 or 80 ecosystem partnerships. And even if half of those tokens utilize Nexus, 80 plus ecosystem partners, even if half of those guys utilize it and pay like a monthly membership, they're going to be generating some decent revenue. And from that revenue, 25% will be used to buy back the token, which is bullish. And they also got a bunch of other bullish stuff coming on the roadmap. But Nexus, in my opinion, was the major thing. The major thing. And then soon they can focus on their launchpad, looking to actually get some tokens on the launchpad, because at the moment the launchpad has a lot of tokens staked. 277 million NAI is currently staked, for the staking, which is quite impressive, to be fair. I think that's a big chunk of the supply already being staked. And in the more tokens are staked, guess what? Less selling pressure as well. So bullish for NAI. I think NAI will do very, very well. This always pumps with the market. It will always pump in the future. Now that the product is live, there's going to be a lot more confidence as well for the project. So looking forward, I think NAI it will do very, very well. This is one of the projects I've been accumulating. When it came down here and people were flooding, I accumulated like 3-4 million down here. And then when it pumped over here, you would have made a decent amount, 40, 50. I didn't sell though, obviously. I think this will probably go up. When it goes to maybe up here, maybe I'll probably start to clip away. But if it just goes back to its previous all-time high in December, you're looking at almost a 10x. Just back to its all-time high in December. And I think it'll go a lot higher than this because, this was just an AI agent pump. This back here, NAI had no products, just roadmap, that's it. Now that they got a real product, a working product, it will do a lot better, in my opinion. Look back over here, 6-7 million is back down to the exact same region as it was before. 6-7 million to 40 million, decent returns, in the short term. And I think it will probably break past this all-time high and go a lot higher. New haircut player. No, it's not a new haircut, bro. I've put my hair up. Normally my hair's down, but I've actually have I looked into block? Is it black or block? I have looked into block, depending on which block you're talking about. Which block are you talking about? This block right here or this block right here? I think I went over this on stream, and it was doing fairly well. But because it's a freshly launched project, I want to see that drop first. Bridging Wall Street to Web3, 10 billion public markets. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Scale accelerate. It's like a good, decent layer one, it seems. But I don't really want to be buying a project off spawn just because you want to see that drop initially. Like this came out and it has only been pumping. So at some point, it will dump. And you don't want to be buying now because when that dump happens, it could dump for a very long time, in my opinion. Can I check out Lumia? Anthony, good to see you as well, my friend. I've already checked out Lumia, my friend. Lumia is good, but there's some things you have to keep in mind with Lumia. Is Lumia is based on hype. It's not about utility. No one uses Lumia. People have to understand this. If you go look at the Block Explorer, you guys will understand that barely anyone uses this shit. Total transaction is 528 K. Hasn't even breached a million. The daily transaction is 648, which is fucking terrible, which means no one's using this shit. I don't know who's using it, but barely anyone's using it. Let's compare this something. Look, this is $28 million in market cap. And the reason this has done well is obviously because Binance and all these guys have invested into it and they've obviously listed the token. But let's compare it to something like Lightlink. And you guys will understand, the big, massive difference. This is $4 million in market cap. But you go look at Etherscan. Oh, shit, not Etherscan, sorry. Lightlink, right? And you see the big difference in transaction well, how do you check the blockchain? There you go, transactions. Look, daily transactions, 74K daily transactions. And overall, I think it's breached hundreds of millions now in terms of actual transactions. So if you go on blocks but they do almost 80K transactions daily, which means people are utilizing this, which is obviously very good. But Lumia is good as like a short-term trade because it will always pump with the markets. Lumia will always pump just because liquidity is there, volume there is on Binance, and Binance coins generally pump with the market. So it's good for a trade, and I have traded this a few times. But as a long-term hold, I don't really see this as a valuable long-term hold. Obviously, it will pump with the RWA narrative, but I think there's better performance out there than this, especially with how much the chain is being used is fuck all. 600 transactions for a $28 million coin is terrible, in my opinion. So no one's using Lumia, but if they can create enough hype during an RWA season, it will pump regardless. But as something that I would personally put large amounts of money in, I don't feel confident putting in Lumia. $10. It could. I think it could. It probably could, yes. I think $10 will put it at like around 5x from here. I think it could, yes. Weekly close, 8,000. Oh, perfect. That's very bullish. If the weekly close is above 3.8K, that's very, very bullish. I think that's probably one of the highest weekly closes for a very long time. On the marketing front, any thoughts on DexCheck, strong team marketing? DexCheck, I'm not a fan of, my friend. Just because DexCheck normally will pump on the thesis that people are willing to invest into the likes of launchpads. However, at this stage of the cycle, launchpads are not something people want to invest into. The reason this had this initial pump over here was because people were still interested in, and obviously because the market was pumping anyways, but one of the main reasons people like this was because of the launchpad. However, moving forward, as we come towards the end of the cycle, people become less confident in launchpads. And unless the launchpad is doing very well, where people will stake some of the tokens, not obviously all of it. And if you're getting some decent allocations for a small amount of fees in terms of how much tokens you need to buy, then the reality is most people are not going to be interested in staking the tokens for launchpads. So that's why I'm not a fan of strictly launchpad tokens at this stage of the cycle. They tend to do well at the early stage, the bear markets, because if a token goes down 99%, and you can pick up $2,000 worth of this, and it'll give you the top allocation, then it's worth, because throughout the bear market, you're going to see hundreds of launches coming out, and some of them might give you very good returns, but you're not going to see that at the end of the cycle, my friend. So for that reason, I tend to stay away from, strictly launchpad tokens. I know this is not strictly launchpad tokens, but the token utility for this token is terrible, meaning that in order for you to use the platform, you don't really need to hold the token. So it's kind of pointless that they even have a token. Another good example of a token that doesn't need a token is Parcel. There's absolutely no utility for this token apart from maybe staking or something. All the properties on their platform, you don't need to hold the token to utilize it. This token's just there as a money grab, in my opinion, for the team. There's no token utility behind. You don't need to stake the tokens. You don't need to stake Parcel to actually use, the all the properties on their platform. You can just use fiat, USDT, etc. So some coins are good on the thesis that because it has good volume, good exchanges or pump, but it won't have that crazy pump because there's no token utility behind it, and the long-term aspect kind of goes down the drain. Indeed, Bullwick. What do I think about total market cap could hit? I think the total market cap, I think a lot of people are calling between 8 trillion. I think between 6 to 8 trillion is realistic. And I don't think Ethereum's going to hit 15K, bro. Come on. Ethereum will not hit 15K. And I think if you're waiting for Ethereum to hit 15K, you most likely will become a bag holder. I think between 6 to 8 grand is a reasonable amount for Ethereum according to global money supply. And I think that's a good region. If you do hold Ethereum, I hold Ethereum, to take profits, get some Ethereum out. But in terms of actually, holding to 15K, I don't really think it's smart. You gotta keep in mind, people like Tom Lee and all these guys, they obviously hold large amounts of Ethereum and they need exit liquidity. They need people to hold as they sell. And no one's ever gonna know the on-chain transactions. So, realistically, they'll probably hold some tokens to 15K, because it could happen 5-6 years down the line. But in terms of this cycle, I don't really see Ethereum going past 10K. If it happens, I'll be more than happy. But you have to be realistic with some of these predictions, because 15K for Ethereum is ridiculous, bro. Anyways, let's go over some of a new project. Well, not a new project, but one of my favorite RWA projects and what they've done recently. So introducing Propbase Layer 0 bridge. So they've made their own bridge, which is bullish, because now you guys can obviously, on the mainnet as well, you can bridge your Aptos to Base, and then from Base, they're going to expand to Ethereum within the next couple of weeks. And then from Ethereum, they'll go on to Solana, AVAX, and some of the top chains in the space, which is obviously going to be very bullish for the token. The more bridges you have, and the best thing is with the bridge, liquidity is going to be evenly spread across the chains. So very, very good, with over 20K holders on Propbase on the base chain. So now they have 60K holders, which is for a market cap of, what's the market cap of this token? Props, I think it's like 12, maybe 10 to 12 million. Whoa, this is a bug. The market cap is not 34 million. What the fuck am I hearing? Because this is not fully diluted yet, so I don't know what the fuck's happening here. I think they might need to change this, unless this is updated tokenomics. Hell no, hold on. I think that's a bug. They probably need to fix it. 12 million. There you go. 12 million. It's not that, because they're still unlocking tokens for like the next 7.5 years. So I don't know why that's been changed over there. But it's $12 million a market cap, and they have 60K holders, which is quite impressive. And on top of that, they do have listing coming as well. So the goal, looking forward, we plan to add support for more chains, including Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, and more, and further extending the reach to the Propbase bridge. And then the goal is to reach 100K by the end of this year. They're also going to be expanding to new DEXs. So multi-chain expansion, unlock opportunities to integrate with native DEXs, which is obviously very good. They're going to have 2 new yield campaigns, so more people stake the tokens, which obviously brings more stability to the tokens. And on top of that, they're gonna get a few more listings as well. They're gonna be releasing the app and get a few more listings. So upcoming launches include lending and borrowing platforms, mobile app, and governance integration, which is, I think Propbase is extremely undervalued. Brickken, where's Brickken? Brickken recently did a decent partnership. So bringing liquidity to tokenized assets across regulated EU markets, which is bullish. We're proud to announce a strategic partnership with this company right here, Austrian-based digital securities exchange regulated under MFID. I don't know what the fuck that is, but a partnership with Brickken, major milestone. So these guys have partnered with an institution. So this is a Web2 company, not a Web3, which is very, very good. Major milestone for Web2, integrate liquidity venues. This is going to bring a lot more, I think, Web2 to Brickken as well. And overall, very bullish. Art Trade will be released in the updated roadmap. So they're going to be adding some more utility, more marketing campaigns, videos, and other stuff, which is very good. Professional marketing videos and campaigns. Like I said, the more people utilize Art Trade, the better the token will perform, because it needs the token in order to actually be utilized. And that's where token utility comes in. The more people that utilize the platform, the higher Art Trade goes. So very, very bullish for that. What else have I missed? So there's, I think, Hint or Hive is going to be launching their token, or their mainnet very soon. So there's going to be some big launches lined up next week, which is good. You're going to see, I think everyone will start to utilize Hint now, Hive. Everyone utilizes it already in terms of Web2, Web3, because it's like the oracle of AI agents, like the chain link of AI agents. That's probably the best way to describe Hive. And these guys have stress tested it. They can pretty much answer any question related to Web3, and it's updated. You don't need APIs. It's good for developers. Developers can use it. Companies can use it in terms of Web3 companies. Projects will utilize it. And once they actually do their membership or the fees, they're going to use some of that money to buy back the token as well, which is very good. Yeah, just the normal bear market, end of the cycle type of thing. Overkill, how you doing, bro? Good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. I think NAI will perform very well. I did go overnight, just like half an hour or 10, 20 minutes ago, but this DAO is good. And the Nexus is now going to go live next week, which, like I said, you guys can utilize. This is going to be very good. So full traceability, live data, agent collaboration. So they're going to have, it's going to be Nexus and another one working together. You can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things on this. We'll start 3 months to unlocks. Does these events potentially give a DC opportunity? Yes, there's going to be another like 3 months, I think, in unlocks. So there's still a decent amount of time. And even then, the unlocks are tiny amounts. They're not massive, major unlocks. If the volume was terrible for StateX, then I'll be like, you know what? And keep in mind, in a couple of months, the market is going to be at its peak. Unlocks are not going to matter, especially when you have 4 million daily volume. The unlocks are not going to be affected as much, in my opinion. Sensay as well. Let's talk about Sensay. Big partnerships for Sensay as well. So they've partnered with ASI, bringing cutting-edge models in the hands of your users. So the ASI Alliance unites some of the. So they're going to basically be partnered with all of this. They already partnered with Fetch. They work very closely with Fetch, Ocean, and Singularity. And then now Kudos has been added to that as well. But where is Sensay over here? So this is basically what this partnership does. So new era of AI decentralization is here. ASI decentralized LLM coming to Sensay. I don't know if you guys have tried the ALM ASI one. It's pretty good. I have utilized it and it works pretty smoothly. It is a bit slow and a bit buggy, but it will answer everything for you. Up to date, any information you need. I think it's quite good in terms of LLM wise. So the agent verse integration in the works, and this is going to basically help them actually have agentic features in terms of the agent will do stuff on their own. And this is what they've been, wanting to integrate for a while now. And then they're obviously going to have the data infrastructure as well with Ocean, which is one of the biggest data places or data providers in Web3. So that's very, very bullish for Sensay as well. And these guys are consistently working, developing. Sensay is one of those projects that does weekly AMAs, regardless of how the market is. They will always have a community every single Friday where you guys can tune in, listen to the AMA, see what they got building, and and they've hit 37k holders, which is quite impressive for a low cap. I think this is probably like 10 million market cap, maybe 12 million max. To have 37k holders in the AI category, which is already saturated, and AI agents. I mean, most AI agents at the moment are putting in new lows, whereas Sensay is holding the highs and will most likely, as the market goes higher, will continue to pump. It had a very bullish pump, retested these highs over here. How this is holding as support, bounced off the support, and I think it will most likely continue to higher with the markets. It looks very, very similar to over back here. So look, pumped to about 2 cents over here, had a little crash back down, and then just exploded up. So now all we're waiting for is this explode up moment. And I think it will break past this all-time high this time and maybe go to like 2 cents. I think 2 cents is a good area. But like I said, the best thing to do is DCA out. Don't wait for 2 cents. It could happen, it could not happen, but the best thing to do is DCA out. But I'm very, very bullish on Sensay. And this is where dilution is important, right? At the lows, it was 3-4 million. When it pumped to about 2 cents, it was 5 million. At the lows, it was 5 million again. So over since last year October to now, there's barely been any dilution in this project. It's such a slow unlock gradually over like 3 years. I think it is 3-4 years, and that's why this project will continue to go higher, because the unlocks are so small, and it's been so small and so minimal over the last 5, 6, 7 months. I just bought a bag of VeChain props, Naka and Nia. I think that's solid. How can you join the VIP group? Join it with, there's a link under my description. It's called Ko-fi. You can join through there. You can pay with PayPal and credit card there, or you can join through what. All the links are in the description of this thing. As the market starts to ramp up, I'm going to be blasting a lot of trade alerts. I think one of the recent trades I put out was Jojo. It pumped like 13 to 15x. I think it pumped 15x. I put a trade on SPX as well ages ago at like 40 cents. Is now at $2. So that's like a 5x right there. 4, 5, 6x, whatever it is. And I've been putting other trades as well, but I'm going to start blasting a little bit more trades. Just short-term trades, 50, 60%. Some of them are low cap meme coins, 3, 4, 5x's. Depends. I put trash out. It done like a 30x trash. Don't know if you guys have heard of it. I sold quite early on that one. I could have made 100x on that one. Any good coins on base? So the coin that I hold on base is this one right here, my friend. But there's so many good coins on base, to be honest. But in terms of a good utility, good volume, good low cap, risk to reward, chart looks very, very bullish. Look at the chart. It's a steady climb up. Why is there a market cap bottom? It's a steady climb up, but it holds this consistent support. And every single time it hits off support, it goes higher. So, this up 87% the last 3 months, which is very, very good. This is my base play. I think this will continue to pump because LLMs, utility, whatever, if people utilize it, it will perform well, especially if it has token utility, which this has a decent amount of token utility. So if you go on the overview of Hint, right? So you look at token utility, it tells you all the stuff that it needs. So Hint token are required to utilize the Hive search API. So if you need to use the actual API, you need to hold some sort of Hint tokens. Users, AI agents consume Hint tokens based on volume, complexity of the API calls, which is good. That's another token utility. Pay per use. So if you want to use it, you have to use NAI as well. So the query holding a stake in large amounts of Hint provides users, AI agents priority in query processing. So obviously, the more tokens you hold, the more you can acquire. So this is good for Web3 projects. So if you partner with a bunch of Web3 projects and they're utilizing you, they would need more tokens to do large amounts of query, processing. They got the enhanced data access. So all of this is token utility. I don't need to go through all of them, but this is all token utility, for the token. So everything on pretty much that requires the platform requires Hint to use. So there's good token utility behind it. That's why it's a steady climb up, because the more people utilize it, the more likely it's going to continuously climb up. Metados is also releasing their game graphics on par with Shrapnel. Metados, let me have a look at this. Metados. The thing about Metados is, there's no utility behind this token. And if you look at, I think this was just a massive money grab. And I say that because there's no earning for Metados. So it's not play to earn like most Web3 gaming projects are. I don't even know why they had the token. The token was strictly a money grab. That's the best way to explain it. Because if there's no play to earn, there's no token utility, and therefore you don't need the token. Most gaming projects, you need the token because you earn the token. So the token is needed. It's Web3, is play to earn. But this is not play to earn. It just has a game that they can just release on the App Store and people can play it that way. But there's no need for the token. Some projects, there's no need for the token, and this is one of them. So even if they release their game, it's not going to do nothing for their project, just because it's not play to earn, my friend. Boson, not really a fan of it. Can stay. I think it's possible, yes, to reach 200 to 300 million market cap. That's possible. What's the max in a thingy, in an RWA narrative, of course. HBAR, Exos. It's too late to buy HBAR now, my friend. Oh, we are indeed close to old season, yes. And keep in mind, I do have another friend who's in my private group. He's also going to be shilling out to another major influencer. He said he wouldn't give me the name as his private, obviously, but he's having a meeting with him over the weekend, and he's gonna show out to him. So if he picks it up, it's gonna be phenomenal. No, I'm not a fan of forward anymore. I haven't even been keeping forward. I have not been keeping track of this anymore, bro. Honestly, they just haven't been doing shit. Seems that it's just one of those that's just the fuck happened here. This is a glitch. But I'm not a fan of this token, but I wouldn't be buying no forward. They had the initial what's it called? They did have the initial decent rally at one point, and then basically what happened was the team just kind of like abandoned the project. They just never ever updated. The update like once a month, and it's like, fuck that, bro. Stupid. How high? It was a good project in terms of use case. A lot of people was utilizing it, but the team just didn't give a shit. How high do you think Sol will reach this year? I think Sol is already at the all-time highs, bro. I don't really see Sol reaching too much higher than this. Keep in mind, a lot of YouTubers shilling Epic, RWA recently, the old project. Do you know much about it? I do know about Epic, yes. Epic is an old project that rebranded and launched this Epic chain thing, and it is doing okay in the short term. I think it's this one right here, right? Yeah, I think it's this one. It's been doing well. I personally don't recommend buying green candles, honestly, bro. Like, let it at least retrace 50%. Like if you got in here, it makes sense because that's but you want to retrace 50% of the pump. If you retrace the 50% of the pump, that's a good area to maybe get an initial DCA. However, right now, I don't recommend buying, bro. It's an old token. Keep in mind, it's a very old token. It just rebranded and relaunched it. So, fuck knows what they're doing before. Quantum, I'm not looking at quantum computing coins right now. We should see deeper narrative like network infrastructure companies like doing internet boom. GPUs, these centers are quintessential infrastructure. I think it's essential for everything. Pretty much everything we use requires GPU and data centers, etc. So that's why I'm a big fan of Deepin. I do think Deepin will have his moment this year. It's been dead for like almost 2 years now, damn near. But I think the Deepin hype could come back at some point. TRWA, Ram, good to see you, buddy. TRWA, I'll have a look into this. $56 million in market cap. Fucking terrible volume, though. That volume is terrible. It's a new project. Oh, this project. Yes. I remember this. I have looked into this. This was being shielded by Crypto John God. And apparently, from what I've heard, Um, the CEO is like the cousin of some high person in Dubai, in the UAE. So, could do well. Volume's a bit terrible, but I would if you can get is a high risk, high reward play. Just because you have your cousins with the head of I don't know some big guy in UAE, that does not mean that the UAE is going to adopt your crypto project. It doesn't mean that. You could be cousins with anyone. I could be cousin with Elon Musk. That doesn't mean Elon Musk is going to buy Izzy or Sensei or one of my crypto projects. That's the reality. So it's a high risk, high reward play. And I get what you're saying in terms of there's a potential there. However, like I said, your country, I don't really see how a country is going to adopt some RWA coin. Is not it's not. I don't really think it's worth putting the money in there personally, especially when it's at 50, 60 million market cap. If it was like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, maybe I would consider buying. But at this higher market cap, I don't really see the point, to be honest. Unless you want to just get a quick 2x and get out. But I don't really see the point of buying something that's already 50, 60 million dollars in market cap and it's just launched. Because the whole point is pumping is because of the rumors that the cousin is a high figure in UAE, but that doesn't, like I said, I could be cousin with Elon Musk. Doesn't mean Elon Musk is going to buy my crypto projects, is he? If you do a DCA today, you should choose between Nai and Hint. Which one? I'd probably put my money into. I'll split it 50-50 just because both have bullish stuff coming. Nai has the release of Nexus, and they're going to do some marketing around Nexus. They're going to be releasing partnerships, etc. Hint has the mainnet dropping. So I think both are good DCAs, my friend. Sharp AI. I think Sharp AI is very close to Hint, and I think Sharp does very good marketing actually. So, like, I think Hive will pump on the back of Sharp just because the CEO and the lead or whatever the dev is the same dev. But I can see Sharp doing well, and I can see both of them doing well. To be fair, I see both of them doing fairly well, and it's been doing fairly well the last 3 months. Look at the 14 days up 45%, so it's almost up 2x from the lows. What's the max price Sensei can go to? There's no max price because no one knows how high it's going to go. But look, if you're asking me, and this is how I think in terms of new people coming to my channel, if you guys are asking me for market predictions or price predictions, not market predictions, sorry, price predictions, can Sensei go to this high? Can this project go to that high? Bro, 9 times out of 10, you're going to become a bag holder, bro. You're not going to take profits because some guy on crypto, on Twitter, or some guy on YouTube has told you that Sensei can go to $400 million in market cap. And you see we do a 10x, 20x, 30x, but it still hasn't reached 400 million. You're going to sit there and wait for the 400 million and then guess what's going to happen? The token's going to tank. Everything's going to tank. We're going to go into a bear market, and you're going to wish you sold and took profits. You have to DCA out, bro. I don't know how much I can explain this to people. Those that wait for one price target to sell, 9 times out of 10, they will become a bag holder. If I make 10 predictions, 1 or 2 comes true, but 8 doesn't, how you're not going to make money overall because you're going to become a bag holder in 8, and then you're going to make money on 2. But 2 is not the majority, is it? So the best thing to do, my friend, is to DCA out and stop asking people for price predictions, because when I hear people ask for price prediction, I just think in my head, you're going to become a bag holder into the bear market. You're not going to make no money in this space. You have to DCA out. There's no such thing as some random ball. No one on YouTube knows what any of these projects are going to reach. Is impossible to know. How just because I come on here and I have a little bit more knowledge than you guys in terms of crypto wise, because I've been through a little bit more cycles, there's no way I would know what any of these projects are going to reach. And I don't think if you have that mentality where you go on random streams or you go on random channels and you ask these influencers how high can some of these go, the reality is you're not going to make money, because some guy will tell you, like, look at fucking Crypto Gains. He tells people that some 20k market cap is going to go to 2 billion market cap. The reality is that's like never going to happen, and some poor guy is going to listen to him and wait for 200 million, 500 million, a billion, because he always likes to exaggerate. And they're never going to make money because they're going to wait for that 1 billion, and then they're going to see the token go down, go down, go down, go down, and then all their gains disappear. The token might just fucking rug, and then you end up just losing all your money. Just DCA out. It's not that hard to DCA out. If you're heavy in a token, you're bullish on this token, you bought loads over the period of time, and it pumps 10x in a space of a few weeks, take profits. There's no such thing as all is now 500 million. You can reach $1 billion. It could, but are you really going to wait for that much? It is stupid. There's no point. DCA out. If you see something move very fast, you should also just start to DCA out at the same speed as how fast it's moving. It's that simple. Don't be one of those bag holders, bro. Everyone who keeps asking me about price predictions, like I said, I always think in my head that you're going to become a bag holder, bro. Shahid, good to see you, my friend. DexCheck had revised tokenomics. Also, they exposed the API to enterprise level users on-chain data. On-chain data is quite good, but it is a bit saturated as well. Hit the likes. Brick, good to see you as well. Boys, hit the likes. There's quite a decent amount in this group, in this live. Let's get to 100 likes at least. I would appreciate that. Can you explain about Axelar and it's not in your list? But I do like Axelar, my friend. I do like Axelar. I think it'll do very well. I was surprised to see some one of the companies, institutions actually apply for an Axelar ETF, which is quite surprising. But I am a fan of this project. It's not on my list, but I can't add every project on my list. But I do like this project, and I think it'll do very well. Axelar, there's a bunch of high caps that don't have on the list. But very, very bullish on RWA coins. So Axelar meets the criteria. It's also part of the XRP narrative as well. And you guys know how well XRP has been doing recently. So, I think anything tied to that will probably do well. So I am a fan. But like I said, I don't really focus too much on the high caps. I hold C, Injective, Ondo, and also hold some Tau. Those are my 4 high cap coins. In terms of that, I have some BTC and ETH, and then I have low caps, mid caps. I focus more on low caps on this channel because my audience is people with minimum capital, less than 100K, and they want to make as much money as possible. So you have to take a bit more risk than just going into like C and Ondo and all these billion-dollar market cap coins and think you're going to make life-changing money. You're not. Good to see you, bro. How much ETH should I hold to cover gas fees during? I would hold a decent amount. I would hold at least 500 to 600 in gas fees, at least. A couple grand would be ideal, but a few 5, 6, 7, a grand is needed. If you got access to centralized exchanges, then you don't really need it. But if you don't, then and you want to sell on the DEX, you need a decent amount. Lionesses are European champions. Fuck is that? I don't even know who that is. What is that? What coin can turn $100 into 10,000? Probably some meme coin, my friend. That's the only way you're going to do that. What do I think about Kita? It's too late, Mora. Good to see you as well, Mora. Kita is too late. There's no point buying Kita now. Once you miss a coin, just move on, bro. Like, if something's pumped from 2-3 million to like 400-500 million, why are you buying it? You're just falling for the Casper trap. Casper went from a few million fair launched, and then went to like hundreds and billions, and people still was buying it, thinking they're gonna make extra money on top. Like, you've missed the fucking run. Go look for something else. Thoughts on Bomo on base? Crypto Galaxy is closed with team and says it's gonna be the next Ponky. Bro, he calls everything the next Ponky. That guy's a spaz, bro. He calls everything the next Ponky or the next whatever, bro. Like, so look, Bomo on base. It does look like Ponky. Well, this is just a fucking knockoff version of Ponky anyways, but just on the base version. It could be a good trade, but just trade. If he's backing it, he probably can make a few tokens fly. You could trade it, but let it have a decent wick down and then buy it. It's holding this structure pretty well for the last 3 months. It could be a good trade, to be fair. Could be a good trade. I don't know about being the next Ponky. Is unlikely. How can you be the next Ponky when Ponky is still very low in market cap? It's not like Ponky is billions. Punky is only 77 million. And this is just like, look, I said, look, it's just a knockoff version of Punky. These type of knockoff versions genuinely don't do that well. The max they go to is like 10 to 20 million max. That's it. You don't normally go higher than that. Like if you want a meme to reach the Punky level and some of these other ones, you need to be a little bit more unique rather than just, launching a Punky on Solana and then just fucking launching a knockoff version on Base and think it's going to do well. Unlikely. Is Riz rug? Why coins like Analog Riz, despite being huge backends amount of poor market cap? Your analysis on this. It's not a rug. It's just Riz did a decent pump. Rivals you're talking about did a decent pump and then just retraced. You gotta keep in mind the AI narrative right now is not the best. I mean, look, all he's done is just come back down. So he pumped like 3-4x and then just came straight back down. So it's not really a rug. If it's a rug, he would have continuously went down. All he's done, because there's continuous unlocks, and what's one of the main reasons I've never bought this coin, it pumped because of the unlocks and the hype stopped because the market tanked after April, after June. Market kind of slowed down, and now it's just retracing. That's all it is. And the money is not in AI at the moment, my friend. Most AI coins are putting in new lows. Let's look at some of the AI agents on Solana that was once the biggest AI agents in Solana. Look at this shit. Whoa, this is $4 million in market cap now. Just 3 months ago, it was 10, 12, 20 million. Now it's 4 million. It's down. I don't know why it doesn't show that the 60-day chart, but it's down like 60% the last 60 days. Look at Griffin. Griffin, the exact same thing. Down consistently. Well, it's come back down to almost the range lows. So the range lows was like 30 million, is at 44 now. And it's just chilling at the same region. It's not doing anything. Price-wise, you look at the price, not really doing anything crazy. You look at some of the other ones like Grift. Most AI agent coins are just not doing anything at the moment. Look at Orbit. It's at $3 million in market cap now, down 45%. And this is once one of the biggest AI agents in the space, or at least one of. This was once 125 million in market cap. You see what I'm saying? Look at Swarms, another one. Like most of these AI agent coins are not doing shit. Look at this. It's just been flat ever since the start of the year. And it was at 50 cents at one point. And now just straight down. AI agents, they're not doing anything significant at the moment. So you can't really expect them. Look at the chart for the 3 months. It's just in the same range, not doing anything. So you have to understand nothing is ever about individual coins. It's always about narratives. It's never ever about individual coins. Just because one coin is not performing, you have to come out of this mindset that it's individual coins' fault. Yes, if the token goes down 50, 60% in one day, that's a rug pull. If it's a slow grind and because the narrative is not there, no one cares about the narrative, you can't say is it a rug. That's just a retarded mindset to have, in my opinion. You have to choose your words wisely, bro. Like most people don't even know the definition of a rug. They just use it freely, and it's stupid. I want Sensay to be acquired by ASI until I don't think it will be acquired by ASI. I don't really think Dan's gonna do that, and I don't really think they're gonna be part of the next ASI alliance. They're not gonna join the ASI alliance. Sensay has always had a close relationship with Fetch AI and AGIX and Ocean. Even before they launched, they were already partnered with them. So them using their technology is nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. Like if Fetch already has the best agents in the space, why not utilize it? Ocean has the best data, one of the best data sets in the space. Why not utilize it? And the same thing with AGIX. Why not utilize it? That's all it is. That's what the partnerships are for. What are your top 3 picks for this upcoming sit run? I think it depends on the narrative. My thoughts will shift on the narrative. So because I think RWA is going to be the next big narrative, just because that's where we're seeing most of the adoption coming in. I do think, picking RWA coins is probably the best. So Brickken, StateX, Propbase, ATR, Relio, and all these other ones. These are the best ones to grab, in my opinion. It all depends on narratives because, like I said, narratives is where all the money will flow into. AI agent narrative, every single coin, everyone in the crypto space was only talking about AI agents in December. Most the DGens were in AI agents, and that's where most of the money was made. So don't look at coins, look at narratives. And I think RWA is going to be the next big narrative. So you flow money into RWA, so you pick RWA coins. It's all about mindsets in crypto, and you start to understand. Yes, long-term investment. It is indeed, definitely. Have you noticed Ethereum shilling Arbitrum on Twitter? I have noticed it, yes. They've been chosen recently by a few big institutions. I think it was, I don't know what institution it was, but they picked ARB for the stable coins, which is quite massive. Out of all of them, I have my highest conviction in Brickken and Propbase. Those are my highest convictions. And StateX. I think StateX will be here for a long time. I think StateX will probably be the next big play for us. Have you updated the? Who's updated? They have updated the utility, token utility. Which coin? Oh, have they? Talking about Dex check. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I need to catch up on the chat. Chat's active today. Fucking hell. Yeah, it does look bad, but that's like saying, the narrative is dead. Like every single gaming coin looks bad. Let's be honest, bro. I don't really see many gaming coins looking good. Look at Beam. Beam is the only one that looks decent, like in terms of short term. But look at Beam on the max chart. For a high cap, this doesn't really look good either, does it? So it's not, it's not specific coins. It's mostly the narrative. Narrative is dead. Nothing you can do in terms of a chart when the narrative is dead. But that's where you have to take the risk, and that's why I specifically recommended to only chuck in whatever you can afford to lose in the degens. Whatever you can afford to lose means literally whatever you can afford to lose. Like you have to be willing to hold it down 50, 60, 70, 80%. Because they can always, in a bull run, in a full-blown alt season, they can pump 100, 200x. But you have to be willing to hold it down for that long. That's how it works. How do I do that, Mora? I think that will be very interesting, but how do I do that? I need to. I would love to do that. Yes, like speak different languages. That would actually be quite sick. If there's a project that can do that, I would love to do that. That's very useful as well. Ross, my friend, long time. How you been, bro? You awake early today? Joss. So Joss, I would be very careful with Joss, and the reason is because I did trade this, made like a 3x, got rid of it. But what happened to Josh? Whatever the fuck is called, Julius. What happened to it was they had a launch on the platform where a token launched, but the token rugged. And when the token rugs on your platform, you as the launcher gets blamed for it. So even though if you're building a platform where tokens are launching, you also feel the back end FUD from that, and that's what happened with Josh. So I think it was called TNSR, something like that. Project that launched on it, they rugged, and then the community got mad at Julius, and it's gonna take some massive bullish announcement for them to actually come out this FUD. There's a few other projects that it happens to. Like launchpads are quite tricky in that sense. If the project does not perform, you get the back end FUD as well as the launch pad. So you have to be very careful. Hit the likes indeed. How much AFA you recommend holding to rotate into smaller caps? I did rotate my AFA personally. AFA did okay for me. I made like a 10% on it, 10 fucking percent on it. But I moved it into Redstone, and then Redstone outperformed. So, this is okay. If it goes back up here, it's a slow grind. It's not an aggressive pump like it was last time. But, this is one of the best deeping coins in the space. This is the highest earning deeping coin in the space. But look at the chart. This is not interest in deeping at the moment. When the interest in deeping comes back, you're going to see AFA go to billions of market cap. And that's what normally happens because these guys are a real business. In the crypto space, deepin coins are generally the real businesses because they're the only ones that actually generate revenue, which is good because they're going to be here for multiple cycles because they're making that money. That's how it works. And most people make life-changing money through holding for a few cycles at least, like on the solid projects. Like look at the people that got into BTC, the Satoshi area. They made generational wealth because they held for maybe a decade, whatever it was. But they made generational wealth. They don't make generational wealth on fucking meme coins because you have to get, unless you get very lucky, you can. But most of them don't even have enough liquidity. You will never make $1 billion in a meme coin realistically. Manta was big in UAE too. Yeah, and look what happened to Manta. Manta was big in UAE, but look at Manta's chart. It's not doing that great, is it? So this is how it is, man. It's all about narratives. It's never ever about individual coins. People have to understand this. It's always easy to blame individual coins when the narrative is not there. And this is, a lot of people don't understand this, and they fall for this trick that when the token's going down and it's not doing well, they fud their own bags and they panic sell just for the token to later, when the narrative kicks in for it to pump 50, 60x or 20x, 30x, and then they regret selling. Some people have to learn the hard way, and then you see it quite often. If gaming comes back, bro, you're gonna see some people are gonna be really, really mad. There's going to be so many mad people if gaming comes back because most gaming coins are dead right now. Damn, 85 watching and only 45 likes. What the fuck? Boy, smash the like button, please. Thoughts on Nasdaq meme? Apparently, Murad buying this. You have to be careful. Let me have a look into this. You have to be careful, not to fall for the bullshit that, Murad is buying this. The reality is Murad's not fucking buying this shit. What they do is, and this is quite an old tactic in the meme coin space, and I've seen it being done plenty of times. What happens is these guys, the meme coin fuckers, what they do is they basically send like 2%, 1%, 3%, 5% of the supply to Murad, because his wallet is public. So they'll send 2% of the supply to him, and then they'll go on market. Oh, Murad is buying meme coin. The reality is Murad's not buying this shit, bro. Murad's not buying anything. He's only going to be shilling the tokens he's holding because he holds hundreds, almost 100 million in them. When have you ever seen Murad recently shill a new coin? He won't, because most of his money is in the meme coins he holds. So he's only going to show those as new people come in. He's not going to buy new shit. It's only people sending supply to him and then acting like Murad holds it. Reality is Murad don't hold any of this shit. What about Ondo? Ondo, very bullish on Ondo. I've been accumulating Ondo since fucking 15 cents. And I've been accumulating more Ondo down here. And, like I said, you buy down here, you buy more down here, and then when it goes up to $1.50 to $2, you're going to be in good profits. That's how it works. That's where conviction works. If you have conviction, no matter if you bought in at 72 cents and then it went back down to 66 cents, it didn't matter to you because you would have bought more down here. That's how conviction works. And then when it pumps, you'll be rewarded. But the only way you get rewarded is if you have that conviction yourself. If you don't have the conviction, you always. This is no matter who shows whatever to you, build your own conviction first, because if you don't, you're going to invest into a coin, the coin's going to go down 30-40%, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to sell and you lose your money. And then just for it to pump 5, it could take a week, could take a month, and you'll pump 10x 15x then, and then you regret selling. But you have to build that conviction, because when you have that conviction, it doesn't matter if it's down 40-50%, you're going to hold. And then in the end, people that hold in good projects, they will always get rewarded, because good projects will always pump. The development and the price action will always catch up. It's just a matter of the narrative kicking in. That's all it is. It all depends on your narrative, on your conviction levels. That's it. And I've been holding on though. I sold my SPX, to be honest. I held it from 40 cents to like 120, 130, and I sold it at 130. But bro, don't buy this shit now. Like, why the fuck are you gonna buy this now at $2 billion in market cap? What when Murad the cunt says this is gonna go to trillions of market cap, is fucking chatting shit. This will never ever go to trillions of market cap in a bear market. This might not even survive because as soon as Murad starts selling this shit, it's gonna tank faster than you can fucking breathe. Because everyone's gonna panic sell and basically sell it. That's all it is. So it's gonna be a rush to who can sell the fastest when Murad sells. That's why I'd be very careful not to get into it now, bro. Stupid. When do you think we'll get a pump next? We'll get a pump. Like, you gotta keep in mind, market's a bit slow now, but we still have not the market has not priced in this over here. Hold on. These news that came out, all the news that came out with EU deal, the market has not priced it in. And the reason the market's not going to do anything now is because they're going to wait for FOMC on Wednesday, and then decide which way they want to send the market. So if FOMC is bullish and Powell has been a bit more dovish, signaling rate cuts, the market will explode on the back of that. If the market shifts from a business cycle to a physical cycle to a Fed cycle, in a sense where at the start of the year, it was a physical cycle, meaning that anything that Trump did and said affected the market. In the 2024, it was a business cycle where data was the main driver of price. If data was bad, the price will come down. If data was good, the price will go up. In 2025, it's been a physical cycle where whatever Trump says, affects the market. And right now I think most people are just waiting on the Fed to ease, and it's become a Fed cycle. That's what most people are relying on. Yes, Trump can make deals here and there, but I think the tariff stuff is getting old now, and people in crypto move fast. So after like a few weeks, a few months, whatever, of the same bullshit, tariff, people price it in, and then people get bored of it, and it doesn't affect the markets as much. And that's what we're seeing now. Now everyone's just waiting for the Fed to cut rates, and then something else will come down the line, whether it's Japan carry trade, taken off again towards the end of the year, just because the yield, the long end has gone over 3%, which is the same level as 2008. So, there's going to be a narrative that's going to change, what affects the markets. That's why the market predictions this year is so hard, because it's out of data, and most people go on previous data. It's all, physical, random stuff that we can't affect, wars, etc. AI 16 also got wrecked. Yeah, AI 16, another one that was fucking billions in market cap, that also got wrecked. So, like I said, once the narrative is I think AI agents will still do well, but AI agent shit will always change. Will always change. It will come and it will go. This was once almost 2.5 billion in market cap. Is sitting at 170 now. And this is a good token. People utilize it as a good token, but just look at the price action over the last few months. This is how most tokens are right now. People have to understand this. AI space is not the best right now. Can DeFi get back to DeFi AI? I don't think so, but honestly, that project probably worked. ASI is focusing on partnering with not adding to the deadline. Alliance have the power. Yeah. I agree. I don't think they want any more people anyways. Also, can you do a line for too many other kid YouTubers on talk about macro? Because also, thank you for a lot for the info, bro. A lot of kids YouTubers don't talk about macro because they're not real investors. They trash compared to you. I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, macro is very important just because it affects the markets, and if you can catch stuff early in terms of the macro, you'll be ahead of the market. Like, for example, if the people that kept on track on the macro last year in November and December, they would have realized that inflation starting to go up. And when the inflation starts to go up, the Fed don't like that, especially when they've already cut 2 times in advance, and one of them was a 50 basis point cut. So, little stuff like that will affect the shift in the market in terms of risk on and risk off. And at the moment, we're more developing towards risk on, mainly because of the big beautiful bill passing, which obviously cuts taxes for the average person, which increases the deficit, which means more printing, and more printing means assets with a fixed supply. Like Bitcoin goes up, and then Bitcoin goes up, the general crypto market goes up, and this that indicates risk on behavior, because Bitcoin has not established itself as a safe haven at the moment that is created to be. That's gold. And if you see gold consolidating in the same range, which is normally good, because people, when When people want to hedge, they go to gold. And if gold is not pumping, it means people are not hedging themselves. There's no event to hedge against, especially with the tariffs being delayed now. There's not much. The only thing that I would say is quite concerning in the short term is the yields and the bonds. That's the only thing that I would say is a little bit, there's ways to slow down the yield. And this is why in a few weeks is so important, because you look at the 30 year. Let me find the 30 year. 30 year. And when we normally, if you see this accelerate to the upside in a fast manner, in aggressive manner, it means something major is happening, is going to come, some sort of bond market crisis, whatever happens, right? So far, it's behaving okay, it's chilling. This is chilling. It's not doing anything crazy. 10 years and 3 months, 10 year and 2 months is steady right now. It's actually coming down, which is quite good. But I think the most important one is, where is it? Where's the 30 year? I had the 30 year somewhere. Let me search it. US 30. US 30 year, right? Historically, when this is at 5%, it's not good for the markets. Mortgage prices go up. Everything becomes a bit more expensive. It becomes more expensive to borrow money. And then it normally leads to a slowdown in the economy. But what they're trying to do is, and this is why this is so important, because instead of aggressively refilling the TGA, which obviously affects the bonds as well, the bonds will probably shoot back up, because people, when the liquidity gets sucked out of the markets, most people run to safe havens, and they either go to the 10 years, the 30 years, for small amount of yield. 5% yield on the 30 year is pretty decent in the grand scheme of things. But if this continues to go up, what it means is investors want more yield. They want more yield to take that risk, because if the government is going to continuously print money, then holding bonds, you end up losing in the grand scheme of things. The only way you do it is if you have that save haven mentality, that risk off mentality. And because of this, and what Besson is trying to do, is trying to slowly refill the TGA, make sure the bond market is not, in a crisis where the Fed has to step in terms of liquidity, then everything can slowly, turn into risk on behavior. And when risk on happens, altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other coins start to outperform, everything pretty much. So, that's what we're looking for at the moment. Mugen, good to see you as well. Gaming went down bad because of the harsh tokenomics. They are very active on esports, circle gaming. Gaming, I think, is rug, bro. I wouldn't touch it. When I join the VIP, do I receive Discord link? I'll send you the Discord link after PA. I can't do it now because I'm on the live, but I haven't set it up yet. I've been a bit lazy on that, bro. Any 5 million sub RWA coins iron? Some good. I would say the best one, in my opinion, is probably Starbucks as a sub 5 million RWA coin. This will do well. 2 million, 2.5. I wouldn't buy it now. Let it come down a bit. It has pumped a decent amount. I have a small position in this as well. I have some Leox. Well, I don't have Leox, but I did hold it at one point. I have a little moon bag left, but if Leox stabilizes around here, I think Leox could be a decent play for the RWA narrative as a low cap, because they fixed the supply. They burnt a bunch of tokens as well. So Leox is a good 3.3 million. These are good trades. You don't need to hold them now, but they're good trades at some point. Nova, how you doing, bro? I think Rio will probably reach its all-time highs, if not at least $2 from here. If you got in at the lows, which is around 12 cents, you would only be up like 2-3x already. But if it goes back up to the, even to the 150 at the 12-cent region, you're making over 10x, which is quite good. That's a good returns. It depends on your averages, but I think Rio will do well. And the reason Rio is good is because it's high liquidity. And they have a pretty good. If RWA season comes, Rio will be one of the fastest ones, just because of how big the community is. Rio on Propbase has the biggest communities in RWA, which is very good. Got a notification that power. Yeah, you're not gonna get that notification. Probably some guy chatting shit on Twitter, bro. Bonzo. Let's have a look at Bonzo, bro. What is Bonzo? Have I looked in this already? Bonzo Finance. This new. Oh, it's on H bar. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it's doing well. Look how shit the volume is though. That's fucking terrible, bro. That means as soon as one person clips, this shit is gonna go down loads, bro. I'd be very careful with tokens with such shit volume and such high market cap. Because one clip, it's getting fucked. I hold ATR, yes. I hold ATR, of course. It's one of my good bugs. I remember you saying this cycle we should keep expectation lower, book profits as soon as we need the next cycle with opportunity. I do agree with you, yes. I do agree with you. I don't, not 4-5x, but let's say 10x max, like 10, 20, 15x max. Don't come towards the end of the cycle and expect, your portfolio to go up 50x, 60x, 100x. It's not going to happen. It's unlikely. Those are the type of things you see in the bear market. You're not going to see it now. But like I said, if you DCA out, you'll always make money in this space. Have I got any super yet? Not yet. I missed that fucking pump. I was happy for you though, Jamie, when this super was pumping. And the first thing, when I seen super pump, the first thing I said was, Jamie is happy right now. But this is doing well. Doing well. I should have picked some up, but it's pissed when I missed this pump, bro. AI tech still bullish. AI tech actually, hold on. I was going to talk about AI tech. AI tech signed. So, like I said, data centers are going to be massive. So, Solidus AI tech data center secures 3-year global compute deal. Because it is confidential, they won't say which company it is, but it is good for the data center because the data center is live now. And if the fact that it secured a global compute deal with a big company, they're going to be generating a lot more money, which is good because, and keep in mind, the more these guys get used, the more tokens they also burn as well. So, that's what the token holders benefit. Good morning, my G. How you doing? T-Rex, good to see you, bro. How you been? I'm going to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Actually, hold on. An old friend told their bags ETH, XRP, LTC card on a Wilder. Is this max? Not really. It depends when he got in, Diddler. It depends when he got in. If he got Cardano, if he got them at the lows, then yes, it is. If he's buying now, unlikely. All from 15x in this price, 100%, bro. Like people don't realize, or if it does a 15x, it's like 250 market cap, which is fuck all. Only 250 market cap, in my opinion, that's nothing. But like I said, once we get all, to these big KOLs, everyone's going to be wishing they bought more. I promise you, just give it a couple of weeks, maybe max 3 weeks to a month. At least one of those KOLs will reply, and it's going to be put on everyone's radar. And this is going to pump 2-3x in a fast time, and then everyone's going to notice it and add it to their watch list, and they're going to see how good this token is and what it does. And then I'm also helping them with the Twitter as well. So you're going to see a lot more fucking Web3 type of Twitter instead of Web2. Because these guys have like a Web2 type of Twitter. They don't know how to create hype. But if you create that hype, remind people of all the bullish stuff you've done over the years. Google grants, Microsoft grants, fucking Tencent Cloud, Dow, Lenovo, burning 50% of the supply. These type of stuff, they need to remind the investors to make them bullish again. Like these guys have burnt 50% of the supply already. The real FTV for this is going to be, 40 million, let's say, 40 million, 36, 37 million. That's where the real supply is. So once this tokenomics gets updated, which will happen in the next couple of weeks, I think, it's going to boost a lot more confidence in the investors as well. The real total supply and the max supply is 1.2 million or 1.2 billion, 1.1 billion, sorry, 1.1 billion. That's literally 50% of the supply burnt. And they're going to continuously buy back and burn as we go on. So, yeah, overall bullish for this project. It's just a matter of patience. Like I said, don't ever listen to comments, too many bots. Bro, the fucking comments are ridiculous, bro. Every single live stream I do, give it within 1 to 2 hours or maybe one day. There's like fucking 50 bots that just comment the same shit, spam. I keep blocking them and they make new accounts, and it's not. YouTube needs to fix this, bro. It's crazy. Foxley on Linear is a good trade. It's a good trade bet. And the reason is because Linear launches very soon. If Linear does well, then you're gonna see Foxy also do well. But it's a slow grind. It's a little bit of a DGM play. But look at this. It's been doing okay. I don't know why I'm on a 15-minute chart, but it's been doing okay, and it could potentially go up here once Linear launches. You're a real one if you do that, bro. What to have better risk reward, SPX or risk to reward? Obviously, alt, bro. What? Like, you can't buy a token. Like, you're not gonna get much rewards for this anymore, bro. It depends what your average. What's your average Andreas for SPX? Like, why are you buying SPX now? It's $2 billion in market cap, bro. This is a meme coin. Institutions are not buying this shit. It's just fucking retail driven. This is retail driven. This is like Casper. I guarantee you, when this reaches 2.5 billion, it's gonna stall, and then from there, it's just gonna have the most brutal dump ever. But it all depends on your average. If you got in down here, like 40, 30, 50 cents, you might get another two, maybe, I don't know, maybe if it pumps another, 20, 30%, you'll probably get another X on it. But risk to reward is a much better investment, my friend. Because you're not going to get much reward in a token that's 2 billion in cap. You're simply not. Because what sends a token to the 50 to 60 to 70 billion is not fucking retail money, it's institutional money. Institution is the ones that send it to the 100 billion, the 50 billion, the 80 billion. It's not retail. Institutions are not fucking buying SPX 6900, bro. They're not. It's retail driven. Retail come and go, meaning that retail's coming in now. They're obviously FOMOing in the top of this. And then when this dumps, it's gonna, all the people that was buying down here and down here, they're gonna fucking book profits on this shit. But you're not gonna make much money on this, bro, moving forward. I mean, 2 billion in cap, how much are you really gonna make? I don't even think you would make a 10x, 5x on this, realistically, not anymore. It's not worth. It's not worth, my friend. Peak yesterday volume was 1.3 billion USD. Today is 7 million. I don't think peak's volume was ever 1.3 billion, but what? I think you mean 1.3 million. I don't know where you get this idea that peak had. Oh shit. Okay, I was gonna say. Peak is another phenomenal project, but look at the chart, bro. Like, this is how deep in coins are at the moment. So when you're looking at Alt's chart and you're thinking, oh, why is my Alt not pumping? It's not Alt's fault that Deepin is dead. It's Deepin in general. Most Deepin coins are in the same boat. They're just not doing anything. It's all in the same range. So, like I said, it's all about patience with some of these coins. StateX, risk to reward. StateX is obviously lower in cap, so maybe you probably get a little bit more money in that. But long term, I'll probably go with Alt. I think they're both low risk to reward. Maybe just split it 50-50. Split it 50-50, my friend. But this is good, though. The chart looks good. Once they get a secondary listing, I think it'll probably have another big pump. But yeah, it seems that the dump for this is pretty much done now. Volume starting to increase. It's looking overall bullish. Anyways, guys, 1 hour 44 minutes. I have not been live in about a week, so it was a good live. Good to catch up with the community. I will be live again, probably sometime this week. I know I say that every week and I go live fucking 7 days apart, but we got FOMC, so I have to go live after FOMC just to update you guys on what's happening. So that's always good. Like I said, until the market, until FOMC happens, there's not really going to be much happening in the markets. Bitcoin will stall. Bitcoin is currently stuck in this, in this formation right here. Once we get above this, maybe have a little retest, and once we get above this region right here, then you're looking at the big boy region, which is going to be up here. This is the area to take profits, my friends. So, like I said, drop a like on your way out. Dominance is looking very good. This was the resistance level. It wicked. got rejected, then had a fake out, got rejected. All we need dominance now is to break this region over here, which is the 60.5. If we can get below 60.5, then we're looking good for a good alt season. And Ethereum looking very strong. Had this, bull flag right here, exploded up, in a new all-time high, short term at least. All we need to do for Ethereum is to break 4K. 4K is going to be the barrier. I would say it's going to be a massive barrier, psychological level. There's going to be a bunch of profit takers up here, and then once we break it, get above, is going to be some crazy fireworks for alts. What do I think the QQQ of memes? Bro, it's just degen, bro. Like, it's hard to say with memes because in a few weeks' time, if he pumps, you're going to be happy, but if he dumps, you're going to be blaming someone else. So reality is, I don't really like to get into memes unless I have some insider info. So the reason I got into JoJo was because I had insider info on it and what was happening behind closed doors, and that's why I was confident to get in, and that's why I was confident for my group to get in as well. And they made like 15x on it. So, I think it wicked to like 1.6. I got in 100K, wicked to like 1.6, 1.7. So about 16, 17K. But it depends. Like, unless you got insider in memes, it's hard to say which way is going to go, because tomorrow there's going to be 100 other memes launching and they might take the spotlight. That's why it's hard. But anyways, guys, appreciate all of you guys for coming down. Drop a like on your way out. Subscribe if you're new over here. I do need to reach 11K subs fairly soon, and that's the goal. Once I hit 11K, I think that'll be very good. But like I said, I will be using the alt launchpad to promote my Twitter, and I will be incentivizing you guys to like, subscribe, do whatever, because if my channel grows and you guys can reward in USDT or whatever, I'll pay you guys. It helps me out, it helps you guys out as well. So that's what I'm looking to do next. I'm just waiting for that to launch next week, and I will utilize it, and it is going to be quite good. Corpo, I'll pick Corpo over Compete. I like both of those though for gaming. But yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you guys fairly soon, probably on FOMC, if not after FOMC, maybe on a Thursday. But yeah, like I said, enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.